For a long time, I thought that life would be one way, you know? You're in a hole that you can't dig yourself out of, and you just kind of accept that as reality. I started smoking at 13 years old, and I spent over 10 years of my life addicted to cigarettes. I remember telling myself, I'll give this up before I'm 16, before I'm 18, before I'm 21. The truth is that once I started, I was hooked, and I wouldn't even allow myself to come to terms with it. When I was about 26 years old, a close friend of mine started vaping and dropped a 2-pack-a-day habit overnight. After witnessing this incredible transformation myself, I dove headfirst into as much research as I could find. I picked up my first MTL vapor device in January of 2013, and the rest is history. Within a matter of weeks, my taste, smell, and breathing all improved drastically. I was able to run, hike, and actually be active for the first time in years. It was like discovering my life all over again. In my mind, it's really important to know that I will be here for the people that I care about in 20 years. Many people lose loved ones to smoking-related illness each year, and I don't want to be another one of those statistics. Thanks to vaping, I can breathe easy and enjoy my life to the fullest again. I don't really think you can put a price on something like that.
Check the video. Is the video still looping?
You know, oops, I'm hearing myself though. You know, everybody that's complaining about the long intro, you can just move on down the road. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Smoker Show. Phil, my good buddy, is sitting right here. Way to start me off with a rant there, buddy. What's going on? Where did you have dinner today?
You did. You did very good. I'm very tan today. Did you? Is the video still looping? Is everybody okay?
Don't listen to them. They're just busting your balls. Listen, and see, you're busting my balls as well too. I've sent you like 10 messages to be quiet, but of course you don't see it. You know, nothing is looping.
No, you said I'm muting you. That's what you said. I'm muting you.
If you were
now,
looking,
if you're going to mute me, that means I can continue to talk.
If you look on your Facebook, I sent you 10 messages telling you to be quiet. Did you see those?
Can I talk now?
Those? Yeah, you can talk now.
Okay, hi.
Where'd you have dinner today?
I took my wifey to Ruth's Chris. I hate the name of that place, Ruth's Chris.
But look at that. I got a Ruth's Chris mug.
Look at you. I got a Five Points mug.
So what's going on?
All my coffee tastes like Castle on Reserve now.
How's your last couple of weeks been since the
Look,
last
they're
show?
saying that there's bad echo. They're saying that there's bad echo.
There's not. Hold on.
Come on, dude.
Definitely not echo on your side. Let me see.
He says nope. They say I sound like I'm in a tunnel.
No.
You said you had this fixed.
No, it's fixing. Echo on Phil. Okay, hold on a second. Let me try this right here.
Oh, good Lord.
All right. Try now, Phil.
Okay, do I have an echo now? Do I have an echo now? You shouldn't
have an echo at all.
It says that, no, come on now. I don't know if I have an echo now. They're saying Phil has a terrible echo.
All right, hold on a second.
Echo with Phil. There's that.
All right. Let's try this now. I think this fixed it now. Let's try this now. All right, how about now? I don't think that Phil has echo now. Unbelievable. Dun, 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 dun. You shouldn't have any echo. Everything is off. Everything that was doing the echo does not have echo. So, all right, let's try it now. How about try now? Okay.
Now I'm muted.
Try now.
Phil's muted now.
Try now.
How about now? Can you guys hear me now? Phil is muted now. Mute. LOL. Yes. I don't. Oh, somebody said perfect. Who the hell knows? They're saying that the echo is gone. No audio. Phil is muted. Nothing now. Muted.
Okay.
Phil's
Echo's back now. Jesus, unbelievable.
No Phil now. Mute. Echo. Echo.
Unbelievable. Why do you have echo? Everything that should be giving you echo has been removed. So let me see.
I don't know, pal.
All right. I think it's just doing it on purpose because
now they're saying I'm okay.
Now they're saying you're okay.
Yeah.
No more echo, just loud. All right. Let's see if that takes care of it. I don't know. I have not changed everything. Everything looks like it's fine on my end, so I really don't know what's going unless it's from the encoder. But in any case, let's see if this has fixed it now. Let me see if I switch to this shot here if you got echo. All right, let's try it now.
That shot. So the question is, do I have echo now with this shot? No, it's not on my mic, Chris. Echo hit. Maybe it's no reverb set, Kim.
How about now?
I don't know. Because I think this is delayed a little bit here.
Yeah, I understand.
Phil has echo, but it's not as bad. Echo. They're saying some are saying yes, some are saying no. Who knows?
It'll take us about 15 minutes to fix the audio, I guess. I really don't know what's going on. Hold on, let me see if this is better. No echo on Phil, but not as bad. Sounds good. Nope, really bad echo, unlistenable. Okay, you don't have to be that strict with it. Jesus. All right. Just give me a few seconds. Let me get this in here going. Audio device is this. Okay. Everything is looking good on my side. I really don't know what's going on.
Well, I can't tell because people are saying that it's fine, and people are saying that it's echoing, and people are saying that it's getting better. So I can't tell.
Let me see now if that has fixed it. Somebody's saying all good. Sounds good, good and cranky. Let it roll.
Yes, Jim.
Much better now. I really don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Scotty Moore style. I really haven't changed anything. So I really don't know where it's coming from. I mean, I wish I could tell you where it's coming from, but I really don't know where it's coming from.
I wish you could tell me too.
Ask DJ Stud. I thought DJ Stud does video. It doesn't do... All
right.
So let me switch to this over here. I'm going to switch to this shot here, this dual shot, and we're going to try to get this thing rolling. That's perfect.
Yeah, piece of cake.
A lot better now. It's better now. It's better. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Much better. Right. And really, I really don't know what's going on because it worked just fine when I did Smoke Free Radio Tuesday with the same exact setup. So
I don't know, man. I just don't know.
I really don't know what's going on. But in any case, we are going to get started. Let's do some serious stuff at the beginning, and then we're going to switch into some fun stuff afterwards, right?
Fun stuff. Are we? What fun stuff do we have?
Well, I mean, some e-cig maintenance, some flavor discussion as well too. But first, there was something that you wanted to talk about, right? So let me bring this up. Let me bring this up here for you.
Well, before we do that, let's go back to just me and you here. Sexy. Because I don't know if anybody who's watching the show right now. First of all, what is the show? The show is the Smoker Show. This show is it's really designed for adult smokers who are thinking about transitioning into vaping. We're here to help, to guide, to answer your questions. We've been doing this for a long time. I've been vaping since 2009. No formaldehyde poisoning, no wet lung, no popcorn lung. Imagine that. But anyway, there was a news story that came out, and we touched on this news story the last Smoker Show, and it was the wet lung. Okay, the wet lung news story. Well, it was reposted on a Rochester, New York paper, a local newscast, and I went onto the thread, the Facebook for that, and it was so discouraging. It was so discouraging seeing the discussions that were going on there. And it's almost like everybody is waiting for that. See, I told you so. I told you that vaping was so evil. They're waiting for that moment, and they're all of this negative PR, this negative press that we're getting in mainstream media. They're clinging on to that and just waiting for that "I told you so" moment. We haven't had that moment yet, guys. And if you're seeing these negative stories in the news, I hate to say this, but don't believe what you see on the news. Dimitri, do you agree? It's really sad what's going on in vaping and in mainstream media.
The last episode of Smoke Free Radio I did on Tuesday is a really good one, even for smokers to go and see, because we really discussed this in an extensive way with Brent Stafford and Matt Cully from Suck My Mod on the media attacks and the PR campaign. It almost seems like it's an orchestrated attack, but you have to understand that these oppositional groups that are against vaping have organized this, right? This is an organized attack. They pay PR firms, they pay ad agencies, marketing agencies, they get these paid op-eds, they get these paid type commercial articles in various publications and on TV. We're seeing a big campaign out in California with flavors and stuff like that. And we'll talk about flavors in specific a little bit later on the show, but even for you, the adult smoker, you're going to get to see some really interesting data. But I think that the main thing for everybody here to think about is that cigarettes will kill you, okay? So no matter what they say about electronic cigarettes, if e-cigarettes are going to extend my life 10 years, I'll take the extension of my life 10 years than dying with cigarettes. This is the biggest thing that a lot of people are forgetting, that the alternative to e-cigs for the people that can't just quit, because if everybody could quit, there would be no more smoking, right? So for the people that can't quit and have tried to develop other methods that are out there, vaping is definitely a better alternative solution. This is all we should be thinking about. All the rest of it, the wet lungs and the popcorn lungs and all that is really irrelevant, because the alternative will kill you. And that's a fact. It's been proven, and over almost 500,000 Americans die every year from smoking.
Right. And, that's one of the annoying things. That's one of the things that's so bothersome to me, right, is that we have studies now that say that vaping is 95% safer than smoking, okay? If it's 95% safer than smoking, why isn't it being embraced by everybody, by media, by health professionals, by different organizations? Because to me, if it was 5% safer than smoking, it would be a legitimate alternative. I think so anyway, but we're talking about 95% safer. So anyway, some of the comments that I saw on this thread, this news media thread, was basically, see those vapes are worse for you than smoking. I'm just going to continue to smoke. And it's like, when you read that, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. And, it's like, you go there and you try to be nice and you try to explain, and they just don't want to listen. They have already made up their mind. Yeah. They have already made up. One woman, she just kept posting like articles from like the 40s and the 50s when doctors were saying, oh, you should smoke, it's good for you. It's like, how do you even compare where we were in the 40s and 50s to where we are today scientifically and with health studies and these real studies that have been performed by the Royal College of Physicians? This is no slouch organization, folks. This is the real deal. This is, as far as I know, this is one of the main organizations that found that cigarettes were deadly, right? And now this same organization is telling us that it's 95% safer than smoking. So, I got really, really aggravated when I read a lot of this stuff, and I tried to explain to people and I tried to give good information, and there was just no hearing it. Right. One comment really took me by surprise, because it was, I kept telling this one gentleman that this is harm reduction. It's not harm elimination. I don't think anybody who vapes, and I would hope not, anybody who vapes, any vape shop will tell you that this is safe. It's safe for you guys. Right. We're not going to know that for generations. Right. Okay, we're not going to know it. But I think the data today proves that it is far safer for us than cigarettes. So what he said was, oh, okay, so what you're just doing is banging your head against the wall slowly. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. And by the way, how can you quantify? Even with I hate to put a number on it, like a 95%. What if it was 50% less harmful? I'd still vape, right? I mean, I'm still 50% less. Is what I'm trying to tell you.
50% less, 50% safer, 50% less of a shot. You getting cancer? I'll take it. Sign me up.
Yes.
Sign me up. And here's another thing. Okay, so let's say smoking will kill you after. I'm just going to pick a number. 70 years.
Yeah.
Vaping will kill you after 200 years. I'm going with vaping.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what I'm saying is that, one of the biggest things that you're going to see on media is that these things don't help you quit smoking. These people are anecdotes and all that. But that's not true. So if you're a smoker and you're in this chat and you're intimidated to chat or whatever, that's fine. You don't have to. But look at the vapers that are in this room right now that are typing in the chat, right? Look at these people. All these people are not anecdotes. These people are vapers. These are people that have quit smoking. There's 10,000 vape shops in the United States. If there's not vapers, why are these shops open? Why this industry has been sprung out of this life-saving product? So don't believe a lot of that hype. All you have to do is, again, don't look online. It's a very, very small portion of the vapers that is out there. But these people are true people that have quit smoking. They feel better. They're not doctors, but they'll tell you exactly how they feel. They feel better when they quit smoking and they switch to vaping. And that's what you should take out of it.
I sure do. But one of the slides that we would put up on the show when we first started it was vaping is safe, right? No, it's not. It's not.
Right.
There is some level of harm associated with vaping, but still, from what we know today, 95% better for you than smoking. Correct. I'll take those numbers. Okay, correct. I'll take those numbers. So let's remember the safest way to vape is to not vape at all. Okay, here's a show about vaping, and I'm going to tell you that. So, if you want to quit smoking, what should you do? And these are my recommendations, and you may agree with them, you may not agree with them. That's just fine. And I label these desirable to least desirable. What's the most desirable way to quit smoking if you currently smoke? Just cold turkey. Just quit. It's the easiest possible thing you can do. Just quit. Well, boy, wouldn't it be great if it was that easy, right? Unfortunately, it's not for a lot of people, right? So then what should you try next if you can't just quit? Traditional methods, guys. The methods that are embraced by the FDA, if you want to call it that, fine. There's patches out there. There's gums. There's medications. There's quit lines. There's all kinds of things for you. If that doesn't work, there is vaping. And where the traditional methods have failed miserably for so many people, okay, vaping seems to have worked. Now, I'm going to suggest that you try vaping with traditional nicotine liquids. You may have heard us call them free-base nicotines here first, okay? And if that doesn't work for you, you can try the salt nicotines. And the reason why I say traditional nicotines first is because the traditionals seem to be, for me anyway, satisfying at a 12 or an 18. Maybe other people would need more. When you get into salts seem to be, like, especially in the pods, anywhere from 20 to 50, right? So, that's why I'm just making that recommendation. Try a free-base standard e-liquid first, and then if that doesn't work for you, go to the salt nicotines, the much higher nicotine strength. So what do you think about that, Dimitri?
Well, I mean, I really like the way that we've and these slides are always ever changing, and they'll be available on tasteyourjuice.com, obviously. But I think people really, really need to understand is that, just like you said, that this product here, right, is one of the steps that could possibly help you get rid of cigarettes, right? There's a lot of ways to do it. None as enjoyable as this one. None that will give you a tan like Phil Busardo. But there are other options out there. But if you've tried those options and you have failed, give vaping a try. It is something that potentially could save your life. And listen, you can use it as a stepping stone, even if you do want to get out of nicotine or if you want to get out of smoking and vaping completely. A lot of people have done that as well, too, through this method. Right. But the point here is the number one goal is to stop combusting tobacco and inhaling smoke into your lungs, which is the cause of all the tobacco-related illnesses, whether it's COPD, cancer, 16 types of cancer, that are associated with tobacco use as well too, meaning combustible burning tobacco leaves and inhaling the paper and the smoke in there. So this is the main goal. Get rid of the combustion. Once you eliminate combustion, and that goes for a lot of products, it's not just cigarettes. Once you eliminate combustion, you eliminate a lot of the harm that comes with that method of delivery of nicotine. So yeah, I totally agree. Now, I did a review last week on the One Mini on my YouTube channel. The One Mini actually utilizes regular nicotine in a pod system, which was really, really surprising. It was an 8 milligram pod and a 16 milligram pod. So they have it for the light smoker and for the more heavy smoker. And I'm going to tell you what, this is one of the best pre-filled pod systems I have ever tried. And it utilizes regular nicotine as well. At 16 milligram, completely satisfying. Got a throat hit. Really good tobacco flavor options for people that are looking for tobacco. Their flavored stuff is not really extensive yet, but it's a new company. I'm sure more flavor is going to come. But the One Mini, for me, here's an example. If the battery is correct, the atomizer is correct, the power to atomizer ratio is correct, you can get a good satisfying vape with 60 milligram nicotine. If that does not do it to you, obviously you can move up to the 30s and the 40s and the 50s. Everything is going to take for you to quit smoking, you can utilize it. But there are options out there. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that salt nicotine needs to be used with devices for smokers. No, it's all about matching the device that you're going to be using with the product that you're going to be using. You can use regular nicotine with existing products on the market and have a satisfying vape as well too. So those two, and if you look at past episodes here of the Smoker Show, I don't know if you want to dive into that a little bit more extensively, Phil, but it is all about matching the device that goes along with the nicotine, right?
Absolutely, and I see a lot of discussion on the in the chat, and I think there's some points that I just want to talk about, because a lot of people are saying that they don't agree with my number two. Because there are side effects that come along with, especially the use of Chantix. I mean, for me, the side effect was crazy, bizarre dreams, and like not smoking was not a side effect, by the way, of Chantix. So yeah, I understand that, but the reason why I'm saying number two is because it's more of a cessation device. It's getting you away from that hand to mouth, the blowing out of the vapor, the inhaling and everything like that. So if you can leave smoking with my number twos, with patches, gums, or Chantix, or some other method like that, hopefully that will lead you to not picking up anything, right? Now, and I think that's one of the reasons why vaping has been so successful for so many people, is because you still have the hobby side, you still have the hand to mouth, you still have the oral fixation, you still have the inhale, you still have the exhale of the vapor. But let's not forget, okay, the purpose of my putting number two before putting number three and number four is that hopefully after number two, you're not picking up anything. So we have 0% harm, right? If you move to vaping and you continue to vape, well, we have that 95% less harmful than a cigarette. So you'll still have that 5% harm, right? So that's why I put number two before three and four. Remember, the safest thing, the best thing that you can inhale is just air. And in a lot of places, that's not so good either.
Yes, I think some air is way more dangerous than the smoking. But yeah, I totally agree, and I really want the smokers to really understand that level. They did another study lately where a lot of the smokers, I saw it tweeted today by actually a pro vaping doctor, that again more and more smokers every day are believing that vaping is just as bad as smoking or even worse, and the here's the issue that I have with it. This is what these public health groups are doing, which is criminal, to be honest with you. A smoker knows that they want to quit, but they're always looking for excuses like, oh, I'll do it New Year's resolution. I'll quit in 2 weeks. I'll cut down. So the more of these bad stories that are coming out, fake stories, really, hashtag fake news, more of these stories that are coming out, all it's doing is enabling the smoker to create another excuse. Well, I'm not going to switch to vaping because I heard that you're going to get wet lungs. So even if they don't believe it, are you seeing where I'm getting with this, Phil? Even if they don't believe it, they could possibly use it to, justify the fact that they just don't want to switch.
Right. Well, on that news story, I found it very interesting because a lot of people they weren't making any comments. They were just tagging people. And I know I can already, I'm formulating in my mind, why are they doing that, right? And it's obvious. they've probably been negative about vaping since day one. They have a friend who vapes. They don't think that friend should be vaping. So as soon as they see that negative article, they tag them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what's going on. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
And a lot of people.
See, I told you.
You see, I told you. And a lot of people on that thread, too, were, for them, it's so easy. Why don't you just quit? Just walk away from the cigarettes.
Right.
Well, if we could just quit, well, I mean, patches and gums wouldn't be $1 billion, industry, and the Chantix and everything like that. And everybody would just simply walk away from smoking. But it's not that easy for some people.
Yeah.
Some people, it's not that easy. You have a hard time losing weight. You have a hard time quitting cigarettes. You have a hard time giving up the nicotine. Some people have a hard time giving up their caffeine, their cup of coffee in the morning. So for some people, it's just not feasible for them to just quit, right?
Absolutely.
Some people are strong. They could do that. A lot of people can't.
By the way, I do want to thank our sponsors, Joytech, Innokin, and of course, 5 Pawns. The telephone lines are brought to you by the Vaping Advocate magazine. The telephone line is 215-383-5752. You press 1 as soon as you're connected, and we can see you in the queue. And also, you can find me on Twitter. I'm monitoring the feed at Vaping Greek, hashtag The Smokers Show. Phil, I'm having a really, really good vape day today. I don't know about you. Are you having a good vape day?
Actually, I'm having an excellent vape day.
So
my last review, I had like the worst review day ever.
Was that bad, huh?
It was like everything. Click record, nothing happens. I'm talking to the microphone. The mic is in the wrong position. It was just like, it was a disaster. But I'm in a good mood today. Well, you know what? I'm in a better mood now than at the beginning of the show because of all your technical difficulties.
Again, I don't think it was me. Maybe your speakers were picking up because you're not wearing headphones. It was running it back in. But anyway, it doesn't make any difference. It's fixed now. But I didn't do anything. So
maybe I should try headphones for the next show. You think?
Maybe. But the one thing that I do want to bring up, why I'm saying I'm having a good day, a vape day, is it's something that I do want to touch on. Not every day, if you're a smoker transitioning to vaping, not every day is going to be a great vape day. And this is something that you need to learn to accept with. You really need to understand that there might be some days where nothing is going your way. And you're going to have to learn to just live through that. It's just like waking up in the morning and you find a flat tire and your dog ran away and your wife left with the mailman. It's something that you're going to have to deal with because not all days are going to be. Most of the time, you're going to be enjoying vaping, but there are days you're going to wake up where one of your atomizers is not working well, your tank is leaking. So, Phil, the psychological aspect for a smoker switching to this is something that they should expect.
It is absolutely something that they should expect. One of the easiest ways to vape, like we've talked about in the past, is with a pod system, a closed pod system. So the pod comes pre-filled with e-liquid. You take that pod, you put it on your device, you go ahead and vape it up. When you're done, you take that pod, you throw it in the garbage, and you use a new one. So, with something like that, you don't have to fill it, you don't have to clean it, you don't have to change the coil, so that is the easiest way. But there was a time several years ago where a very smart person that I know was actually trying to gauge bad vape days and seeing if he could prove scientifically that other people were having bad vape days the same way you were. And he was actually looking at air pressure, right? And air pressure affecting the performance of your tank or how your tank was wicking or how your tank was leaking. But believe me, when you vape, you're going to have great days. And, as the equipment gets better and better and better, we're going to have more great vape days. But, on occasion, even me, Dimitri, you pick up a tank and it's leaking for some reason.
Yeah. I'm not a guy that wakes up and has 10 different devices. I generally have 1 or 2 devices going in a single day. Today I've got 3, simply because you got me vaping temperature control for 4 days. But I've been enjoying testing these coils out and with your suggested TCR values, of course. But even today, after all these years, I will get up one time, and it could be just my taste buds, for crying out loud. I might just be having a bad taste day, right? Where everything that I put in my mouth does not satisfy me. So that is the one thing that I think that you should keep in mind. Have a variety of things around. Have a couple of different flavors. Have a couple of different choices of devices. When it all fails, like Phil says, pop in, one of these pre-filled, little pod systems, or go, get one of these blues or something and just start vaping on it. Just kind of forget about it, because you will get aggravated. And aggravation for a smoker is the worst thing that can happen, especially in your beginning journey, the first 2-3 months when you switch over. Vaping is not as easy as lighting a cigarette. So just stick with it. And YouTube really helps. There's hundreds of reviewers up there with videos. There's tons of information on there. Being fiddly and gadgety with vaping actually helps you get your mind off cigarettes as well too. There's nothing wrong with going on a forum or going on YouTube, watching a couple of videos. Just get your mind off of it. Maybe get some tips and some tricks. All of these are just tips for you, the smoker, to keep in mind when you're trying to transition.
Absolutely. And not only YouTube, but there's also some very, very helpful forums. There's some very, very helpful Facebook groups. I answer all of my emails that come to me either via 𝗜𝗡𝗚𝗘𝗧𝗘𝗖𝗛 or via my Facebook. Dimitri, I know he answers all of his questions. So you guys ever have a question, if you're ever having problems, we're not above even the simplest questions. Never be embarrassed or ashamed to ask a question, no matter how basic or how simple it is, right? Or simple you think it is, because we all started somewhere. Thankfully, there were people who helped me as I was learning to vape and transition. And we're here for you guys as well.
And by the way, I do want to mention that we don't charge for advice, unlike some vape specialists. Our advice is free, so you can just message us. It won't cost you a thing. All right, I do want to move up to a different subject here. We do have a lot of stuff to talk about, and just like I said, various topics today that are kind of relevant to what we're talking about. We haven't really talked about device maintenance, and of course now it's summertime, so we should have some summer tips as well too. So I do want to bring this slide up. This is, again, for the vapors that are in the room. This is very basic info for smokers, and it's stuff that you can take back, of course, and share with smokers. But keep in mind that the information is trying to be toned down so everybody can understand it. So, e-cig maintenance. And I do have notes, by the way, today. This is how organized I am, Phil. Look at it.
Wow, very good. Do you have notes on how to set the audio settings before we start?
Oh, God, Jesus Christ. I'm never going to live that down. But I do want to talk about e-cig maintenance. I think that's something that's very, very, very important. And very vital, because this is a piece of electronic engineering, right? This is not a prehistoric or dinosaur type device as a cigarette, what I call it now. When I see somebody smoking now, I find it a prehistoric delivery device of nicotine. That's the way I see it. So e-cig maintenance is extremely
Hey, they're saying the echo is back.
Okay, it's on this shot here, so I can fix that real quick.
All right.
I'm going to move here. All right, that's going to take care of that. So I'm just going to take away the cameras from this, and I am going to do that, and then I am going to do that. There you go. Sorry, I'm not gonna have you in there, Phil. But that's okay. We can hear your pretty voice. So I'll switch to you when we give a little bit more detailed info on this. So, number one, you have a device that has some threading on it that you usually put a tank on, Phil, right? So keeping the battery terminal clean. So talk a little bit about how the contacts of where we actually put in the device on how to clean that.
You can use some isopropyl alcohol. Just on a Q-tip, you can clean the contacts on your device itself. You can clean the contacts on your battery. This, of course, is for batteries or devices that have removable batteries. A lot of devices have the batteries built into them. On those devices, you can still clean contacts. We'll take, for example, this device right here. All right, so you've got a what is called a 510 connection on there. And you can use some alcohol on there with a cotton swab to clean that connection.
The actual threading of the device, again, is just like like you're screwing a screw into something else, right? So you got to be a little bit gentle with that. So you got to be a little bit careful as well too, right?
Yes, absolutely. And another thing too with your batteries, and we've talked about this in the past, battery safety. You do want to look over your battery. If the battery is removable, you want to make sure that the top on the battery isn't pushed in or indented. You want to make sure the bottom looks the same. You want to make sure the wrap on your battery is completely intact. not ripped, not torn. Any of those things could cause a short circuit. That is something that we want to avoid.
Right. And also, you also want to make sure that the TV that's behind you is actually rotating the slides that you have presented it to do, and not just the folders. That's just another little tip for the show here to go along with my audio my audio issues. Boom! I got him one time. I got him. Tanks, all right? The tanks, the actual tank that we put the liquid in. That's another piece that I think a lot of people forget about. Talking about the actual clearomizer, right? The portion of the tank that needs to be clean, or the atomizer that you're using. A lot of people just refill it. Don't even think about it. They replace the coal, but they don't think about cleaning the actual tank fill.
Right. And cleaning the tank could be easy. I mean, cleaning the tank could be as easy as running it under some water, shaking it up a little bit, dumping the water out and blowing it out. Cleaning could be more involved. You could take the whole tank apart and you could really kind of scrub it. But I think it is important. You'll notice too, if you use a tank over and over and over again, just fill it without cleaning it, you're going to notice your liquid is going to start to get darker on the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I think that's from is like, those of you who are familiar with cooking, when you reduce a sauce, what happens? The sauce thickens and it darkens and it intensifies. And I think that's some of what's going on. Some of that liquid is working in and working its way out of the coil head. And it's darkening it, and the coil head could be, getting dirty too. And some of that is kind of leaking back into the tank. So it is important to keep the tank clean, but not only the tank clean, also the coil heads. And I'm sure you're going to talk about that, Dimitri.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to mention, a lot of people, they go through this extensive. I with my wife, with her tank, I tell her once a week, or when she's cleaning it, when she's replacing the coil, just take a little warm water, shake it in the tank, just to get some of the, debris or whatever it's kind of left over inside there, and just shake it off, blow it out, dry it out a little bit. You're ready to go. I think when you're changing the coil, giving it a soft cleaning is really highly recommended. Your liquid will taste better. Your tank's going to last a little bit longer, but it's not really. You don't really have to go into the really extensive. I've seen some people put in sonic cleaners. You can do that if you want. It doesn't hurt it. But, if you want to get to like a very deep cleaning every 2-3 months, there's nothing wrong with that as well, too. But just a little bit of warm water really, really does the trick. Keep in mind that if you're switching a lot of flavors, though, that you are going to have some residue from the previous layer, even if you do clean it out with a little bit of water. So don't be surprised if your first or your second tank after you refill it might taste like the previous flavor. It's not. Maybe you'll come up with a good flavor, a good mix that's going to be very, very satisfying to you. The mouthpiece, I think, is another thing that a lot of the new vapors, even for existing vapors, I think the mouthpiece is something that doesn't get a lot of love, and I think that is something that should be talked about, because you do have some bacteria build up. You do put it on your lips constantly. You do have some of what they call lip cheese that's been created on the mouthpiece as well from a lot of use. I personally, I'm kind of stingy about that feel. I clean my drip tip like 3 or 4 times a day. I'll just get a little wet towel and just go all around it and inside too. I don't know. I'm a little bit paranoid about it, but
I know your mouthpieces, they do actually grow overnight. There's like little what do you call it? Feta cheese bacteria that grow on
feta cheese crumbles.
Right. Mine's mozzarella, right? But I mean, you think about it. Okay, so a cigarette, you use the cigarette, but then when you're done using the cigarette, you kind of throw that butt away, and it's not like you're using the same butt over and over and over again. So you don't have the bacteria on there. Mouthpieces are much different. A good idea every now and then, just take a whole bunch of mouthpieces, put them in maybe some boiling water or something like that, clean them up, get them all fresh and bacteria free, and start vaping again.
Get a little bit on the maintenance. Before we get to the drain battery, don't screw your tank down too tight. This is a very, very common mistake a lot of people do. And I can't tell you how many people have come to me, Phil, and have said, can you, something's wrong with this tank. And then I try to unscrew it from their device, and I literally have to get pliers to do it. Right? I mean, these are sensitive. They're threaded pieces of equipment. If you screw it down to your tank down too tight, number one, you can ruin the device, you can ruin the tank, you can ruin the connection. And then when it's time to take it apart and clean it, you won't be able to do it. And then you're going to think that something's wrong with the device, and you're going to get pliers. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong. All you really want to do is just have a good, firm tightness down just with your hand, right?
Yeah, don't use a vice grip to tighten down your tank. It's completely unnecessary.
do not drain your battery all the way down. And again, we talked extensively with this when we had Mooch on the show talking about battery safety. But once again, this is a piece of technology that utilizes batteries and high drain batteries, and we want to keep the same type of safety precautions as we do with other pieces of equipment, Phil.
Yeah, and I just want to jump in there. I think that comment is probably a lot more important when it comes to mechanicals, right? Mm-hmm. Because when you're using a mechanical, there's no circuitry there. There's nothing there protecting you. You are the protection when it comes to a mechanical. That's why it is so important to be educated in battery safety, in Ohm's law, in knowing what you're doing when it comes to mechanicals. Now, with most of your regulated devices, you can vape them down until they tell you it's time to charge them. There's really no problem there because there is something on there that's going to say, okay, I know the voltage of the batteries will say 3.3 volts now, and I'm just not going to use the battery anymore. And I'm going to flash some kind of indicator at you, letting you know it's time to charge the battery. So with regulated devices, not so important, but definitely in the world of mechanicals, not over draining your battery is very, very important.
Phil, I've heard this multiple times to me. How do I clean my coil, right? How do I clean my coil? But the answer is...
The answer is back in the day, you used my boiling method for cardos.
Yeah, that was the good days.
So how do you clean your coil? You don't clean your coil. You don't. There's really no cleaning a coil. Because I mean the cotton around the coil is going to get dirty. The coil itself is going to get gunked up. And a lot of people, they ask that too. Not only how do I clean the coil, but when do I replace the coil? I mean, that's really the question that I get asked most of the time. And I would say, rule of thumb is once per week. Now, of course, there's a lot of factors in that once per week.
Yes.
Some coils now, like we have the new mesh coils, they're lasting a little bit longer. So it really depends on the liquid you're using. It depends on the temperatures you're getting your coils to. It depends on how much you're using your coils. There's so many factors that go into that. So that's why I typically say a good rule of thumb is once per week. But please don't chintz out on the coils. They're not that expensive for the most part. It's not, if it tastes like crap, your coil's probably done. And I think it's just safer to have a fresh coil too. It's one of the benefits of the pod systems, especially the closed pod systems, is that when you throw that pod away, you're throwing the coil away too. So every time you use a new pod, you're getting a clean, fresh coil. So, just think about that. Don't overuse that coil. Change it. I think you're going to enjoy it more, and you're going to get a much cleaner, more enjoyable vape.
I think the coil is one of the consumables. It's just like, buying another pack, but instead of doing it every day, you can go through a week with it. And it's actually 1/3 of the price of a pack of cigarettes. But I think what having an enjoyable vape is a huge factor in you to continue to vape. So if depending on your liquidify, if you have to change your coil every 5 days, I mean, you just do it. There's just no, or change your liquid if your liquid is gunking up the coils very fast. But if it's a liquid that you really like, change it every 5 days. My wife can go, about 10 days with a coil based on her liquid that she uses. This is her routine. Every 10 days, she changes her coil, washes out her tank, and then she has an enjoyable 12 milligram strawberry malt vape. That's what she likes. That's what she enjoys. She knows exactly when the coil has gone bad because of the draw and the vapor diminishes and the flavor starts to tap her off. So you're going to get into that habit of doing that. So don't be intimidated, and definitely don't skip out on changing your coil trying to extend the life.
Right.
The last e-cig maintenance tip that I have here is do not let the e-liquid run down too low on your tank. And there's various reasons why we don't want to do that. But I think one of the biggest reasons, Phil, is that you might possibly burn your coil. And it's something that a lot of people don't think about. They let that thing drain all the way down, then they'll take a hit. They'll push that button when that coil has, literally drawn all the liquid out of the tank. And then just that split second, right, Phil, of just firing it, just ruins.
That's all it takes, guys.
That's all it takes.
So I've been vaping since 2009, okay? And this is just last week. Just last week, I'm just using my device. I'm not looking at it, right? I'm not looking at it. I'm using it. And I take a drag, and it's just burnt, and it's horrible, and it's disgusting. And I'm like, what do I think? Right away, I think, oh, man, my coil's bad, or there's something wrong with my tank. and I look at the tank and it's just bone dry,
Yeah.
It happens, guys.
Yeah.
It really happens. So that's one of the reasons why you don't want to let your tank run out. And, you know, for those of you who have experienced that bone dry, burnt hit, okay, not only have you probably destroyed your coil, but that taste, like, it permeates your tank and your mouthpiece. And, you know, you're going to wind up having to rinse and to clean to get some of that taste out, because it will linger, it will hang around, and it will make a very bad vaping experience. So, yeah, I mean, I could definitely agree with what you're saying there, Dimitri.
And sometimes people don't even know that it's burnt. They're just going to refill their tank, and they're like, oh, my God, why doesn't taste good? Vaping sucks. It doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason you don't want to let your tank get low is because all these tanks work with pressure. So the lower that the liquid gets inside, more air is trapped inside that tank. And what it does is that air just forces more liquid into the coil. So you might get some flooding, some gurgling, and stuff like that. So a good rule of thumb is when your tank gets down to 1/3, refill your tank. 1/3 of the tank, refill your tank. That rhymes because they both end in tank. But that's a very, very good rule of thumb, especially for beginners, I think, when it comes to e-cig maintenance.
Now, of course, we can use temperature control to avoid such things. But, of course, temperature control is a giant pain in the butt,
Yes.
okay, especially for a new vapor. And that will be a subject that we will cover on this show eventually.
Yes. All right. I do have. I see some questions that Bill is picking up from the chat. We're going to address them towards the end of the show. And obviously, the telephone lines are open: 215-383-5752. Brought to you by the Vaping Advocate magazine. You can call in, and we'll put you in queue with any questions or comments when we get to that portion. Now, of course, it's summertime. Obviously, look at Phil. How can you not tell that it's summertime? And we do have some summer tips for you, right, Phil? Storing your e-cigarette correctly. I think that's very, very important. I mean, that's very, very important year round, but even more so during the summer.
Yeah, you know, I think something else that I was looking for headphones real quick to see if I can fix this, but something else that you're going to experience in the summer as we get warmer and warmer with temperature is that is going to affect your e-liquid. Your e-liquid is going to be hotter or warmer in your tank, and that's going to change the viscosity of the e-liquid, okay? It's going to make it thinner. And that, when e-liquid gets thinner, it has the potential to leak more, right? To seep more. So that's something that you're going to have to think about when it comes to vaping in the summer, especially if you live in a climate where it's like very cold in the winter and very warm in the summer. Here, it's just kind of warm all the time.
They have these little pouches that you can get usually at the vape stores. You can find them online as well too. Having something like a little vape bag, what we call vape bags, whether it's a small little pouch or whether it's a bigger bag or a man purse like I got for Phil on a nice gift. But yeah, having those around are very, very vital, especially because you do have a battery. Let's move on to the next summer tip, which is store your e-liquid away from the light for various reasons, right, Phil?
Yeah, you know, that could change the percentage of nicotine. That could actually degrade the nicotine. So you do want to keep your bottles out of the light, especially if they're clear and see-through. That could certainly affect the level of nicotine in your e-liquid.
Let me pull this question up since it is kind of relevant on the e-cig maintenance. This is from the Cycling Mad Vegan. Refilling and recoiling. When the coil is ready to be changed and having juice in the tank like in the T18, I need to vape it all, right?
It depends on what kind of tank you're using.
Yeah,
okay?
on the T18.
Okay,
and
so
we're going to be showing that today too.
The T18, I believe, is one of those where you do need to drain it before you change the coil. Otherwise, it's all going to leak out on you. There are some tanks out there, like we'll take, for example, the Zenith, where it doesn't have to be, drained before you take the coil out. So it really depends on the tank that you're using.
Yeah. So let's get back to these.
Before we do, let me just touch on what Christoph said. That is definitely something that we touched on in another show when Battery Mooch was on. We were talking about battery safety before. Make sure that the battery's not indented top or bottom. that the wrap on it is completely intact, not ripped or torn or anything like that. And of course, this is so important. If you are carrying spare batteries around, loose batteries, make sure you keep them in a battery box. Make sure you keep them in a silicone sleeve, or just batteries. When you put them in your pocket or your purse, they have a job to do. Their job is to find metal and short themselves out. We want to prevent that. We want to stop that from happening. We don't want you to be the next news story where, because you weren't educated enough to protect your batteries, your loose batteries in your pocket or your purse, right away they blame vaping for you not knowing how to store that battery, right?
Right.
So always use a battery box or a silicone sleeve.
Right. And another summer tip is to make sure that the slides behind you on the TV are rotating while the show is going on.
I don't know why. I don't know why.
Oh, now you know how I feel, buddy. How about that? How about them apples? All right.
That's not show stopping, though. I mean, the show can go on without that thing rotating.
I'm just busting your balls. Here we go. Never leave batteries in a hot car or the device itself. We have actually seen a car that had somebody left e-cig charging in the car as well too on a hot day, and the battery exploded inside the car as well too. So very, very important not to leave devices and not leave batteries, especially exposed on the dashboard or in the center console on any day, to be honest with you. But even more so on a hot day, the temperature inside the car can reach 130, 140 degrees. That is just devastating for the batteries and could potentially cause catastrophic disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Good timing there. The next summer tip that we have here is do not leave e-cig charge. Oh, okay, we said that. No, not leave e-cig in charge. And of course, finally, never submerge your e-cigarette or get water on the battery while you're cleaning it. Make sure no electrical components are live before you start to clean. I mean, water and batteries, just a general rule of thumb, feel not good.
It's not good. You probably shouldn't vape underwater anyway. But of course, there are some devices out there. Should you be in a wet environment? Should you be in an environment that requires a more rugged device? There are devices out there that are made to be water resistant, shock proof, things like that. One of those is going to be the Geek Vape Aegis or Aegis. If that's the environment that you're going to use your electronic cigarette, you should know that there are devices out there to meet your needs.
Yeah. I think, treating your electronic cigarette and just doing some maintenance, getting, a shopping clean list, right? Have some Q-tips, some vapor towel, which is very, very important. Having some stuff around that's going to be part of your maintenance and become part of your now tradition. Switching over to vaping is very, very important as well, too. And it's just something that you're going to have to learn and to live with as well, too.
And I want people to keep in mind here, especially if there are any smokers that are watching the show, we're talking about devices with removable batteries. We're talking about battery maintenance and battery safety. You can certainly, and I would actually strongly recommend that your first device maybe not have removable or replaceable batteries, right? Because there are a lot of very, very good devices out there that have internal batteries. The batteries have already been put in there by the manufacturer. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to know what kind of batteries in there. They will have a little micro USB port or some other kind of port on them to charge. Okay, so there are plenty of devices out there that have internal batteries that take some of the complexities of vaping away from you, and it's a great way to start. It's a great way to get going, and then when you feel more comfortable, when you're a little bit more educated on vaping, you could certainly move into a device that allows you to use your own batteries, replaceable batteries, right?
Yep. I do want to mention that me and Phil, though, have been in the hot tub together and vaping at the same time as well, too.
This is actually my hot tub device right there. that is my hot tub vape right there.
All right, let me play this really quick, and we'll be right back. All right, I should actually put my board to my left hand, so I have to cross over.
I have
my
a
mouse and
question.
my
So
board.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, because I've moved to headphones,
Okay.
and I'm just curious to know if this sounds any better for you guys.
We're just gonna wait and see what the audience says.
Okay, what the audience says.
No.
It's very low for me though. The headphones are very low.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
But I feel closer to you now.
Yeah, well, let's just see what the Peanut Gallery says.
Okay.
215-383-5752 is the telephone lines. So please give us a call if you have any questions or comments. And of course, we once again want to thank Joytech, Innokin, and of course, 5 Ponds with a new Artisan Sea Salt line for sponsoring the show.
Did you get that line yet?
Phil sounds way better.
Oh, that's it. That's the okay. Good. All right. Then that's
way
the
better
we'll
with headphones, no room hollowness at all.
How about that?
Oh, Jesus. Oh, boy, we're going to have fun after the show.
What do you mean?
No, I'm just kidding.
What did I do?
Nothing. But let's get some fun stuff. Let's get some show and tell. How about some show and tell, Phil? I'm excited.
Show and tell?
Show and tell. Yeah.
You want to do the Endura?
I do want to do the Endura because I think a lot of people are... I want to make sure that this shot does not hear. A lot of people, even today, recommend the Endura T18 for a starter kit. I recommend the Endura T18. You recommend the Endura T18 because it's a very, very easy and satisfying vape. It's got a really nice tight draw, a little warmer vape, something that the smoker might enjoy. So I do want you to kind of do like a little unboxing and just a very short tutorial on people using this as their first electronic cigarette. And of course, the people that are watching, keep in mind, we are talking to smokers, right?
Right. Yeah, the Endura T18 is still one of the electronic cigarettes that I recommend to a lot of people just getting started. And the reason why is because of what Dimitri just said. It really does behave a lot like a cigarette. The size of the mouthpiece, the warmth of the vape, the satisfaction. It's a very satisfying electronic cigarette at a 12 milligram or an 18 milligram free base nicotine. Actually, my wife, who vapes, and as you can imagine, she has access to pretty much any vaping device.
Hold on a second, Phil. I'm getting echo on this shot. Just want to make sure I fix that. And there, that should have taken it. Try it now, Phil.
Okay, now how's this? Is this better? Hello, hello. Check 1, 2, 3. Oh, come on, man. Hello, they're all saying echo.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, I can read. I can read the chat. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Let me see if this fixes it right here. This should have fixed
that?
it. No, it's the same. Okay, it hasn't fixed it. So let me take this out. Let me go here, take this out, and let me fix this. Okay. Let me take this out. Delete. Oh.
Oh. What?
Oh. Okay. Let's try it now.
Okay. Does this sound any better, guys? Hello, hello, hello. Check 1, 2, 3. How about now? Any better? Any comments? Not terrible. There is echo. LOL, just joking. Back. Must be the camera.
It might be because we have the third option. This is what I'm thinking. Are you sure? Is your audio muted in the back of the?
Yes, on the close-up camera, camera,
yeah,
it is muted.
Double check that, because I think maybe if I mute this one here, hold on just a second. Let me mute this.
Yeah, it's muted.
Okay, let me mute this on this side over here too.
Oh boy. Some people are saying that we could proceed. They can deal with the echo.
All right, hold on a second. Well, I haven't switched. That should fix it. I think that fix it. Okay.
All right.
Let's see if that.
Okay, so it wasn't my headphones then, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so the Innokin Endura T18, and some people are going to say, and I've already seen it, that well, they like the T20S better than this one. The reason why I still recommend this one is because the draw on this one is much closer to a cigarette. Okay, the T20S seems to be a much looser of a draw. right? Would you say so, Dimi?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's open this up. So you get one of these. What do you do with it? So we open this up and we see what we get. Look at that. We get the same thing on the inside. We got a little magnetic top, and we get a few different things. We're going to get the device. This is going to be the battery. So this does have an internal battery. We are going to get the tank. Right, there's the tank right there. And then we're going to get a box of goodies too. And inside the box of goodies, we're going to have the micro USB charge cable. This is what you're going to use to charge the device. We're going to get a couple different mouthpieces here. We're going to get a spare coil. There's going to be a coil already in the tank installed for you. We're going to get some spare O-rings. O-rings are very, very important. And O-rings, I think, will scare some people. I think O-rings will scare smokers especially. I mean, what are these little parts and pieces that I need? My cigarette didn't come with O-rings. What are these things? So, you know, there's some maintenance that we might have to do just using things over and over and over again, screwing things on, unscrewing things. O-rings will start to wear. And if O-rings wear, that could certainly lead to leaky tanks, right? So O-rings are certainly something that you can inspect and make sure that they are in good shape. Again, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there on these products that will show you where the O-rings are and how to replace them. But that's just something to keep in mind. Like I said, a spare coil. And then we got a couple other goodies with this kit. We have a stand. We have a manual. Most of these things will come with manuals. Some are very good. In the case of Innokin, I think they do have very, very good manuals in clean English. And then, of course, you have other companies that you get what we call Chinglish, right? And some stickers, too. So how are we going to set this up? The first thing that we're going to do is remove the coil. Now, like I said, or like we were talking about before, this is one of those tanks where when you do remove the coil, there's nothing that's going to hold the e-liquid in the tank. Right. So this is one of those tanks where we do want to make sure that the tank is fully drained before we remove the coil. OK, because if we don't, as soon as we pull this out, all the e-liquid is just going to pour right out of the tank. One of the most important things that we could do with these coils is priming them. OK, we've talked about this several times on the show. What is priming and why do we prime? Priming is just getting the coil head soaked with e-liquid, okay? Because inside the coil head, inside most of the coil heads, not all, there is some kind of a wicking material. And in the case of the Endura T18, it's going to be a cotton, okay, an organic cotton. So if we don't prime this coil first, if this coil is dry and we push the button, okay, what's going to happen is the coil head, the cotton in here, is going to burn instantly. There's no waiting. It's going to happen instantly. Once that happens, okay, that coil is shot. It's destroyed. You're not going to get it back. There's no cleaning it that's going to help. It's going to taste burnt and nasty forever and ever. So you've basically just wasted a coil head. So how do we prime a coil head? There's a lot of different things that we can do. We can just fill this tank up without priming the coil head, but you have to let it sit for, I don't know, 5 minutes. I'm impatient. I don't want to do that.
I want to vape now.
What? Yeah, I'll vape it now, right? So I'm going to go ahead and prime this, and I'm just going to put a couple of drops of e-liquid right into the center here, and I'm going to let that soak in. Sometimes you can even watch the ports here. Like the T18 has a lot of liquid ports on it, and what you'll notice is as the cotton starts to saturate with e-liquid, the color of the ports it's going to change. Okay, so I just put a few drops of e-liquid in here. You know, depending on the size of the coil, you might want more or less drops of e-liquid. I put about maybe 4 or 5 in this one just to get it soaked up. So now I'm going to take this coil. I'm going to install it into the rest of the tank. There's 2 little notches here that kind of guide the coil into place. And I've lined up those notches now, and it's not turning. It's not rotating anymore. I'm going to take this bottom piece. I'm going to screw it back on. Now, this is a top-filled tank. That means we fill it from the top, just like it sounds. Now, when I fill it at this point, I want to avoid the hole, okay? Because if I fill it into that hole, all I'm going to do is flood. Okay, so there's a difference between flooding the tank and priming, or flooding the coil and priming the coil, right? So now I'm just going to use anywhere on the side here, okay, avoiding that center hole, and I'm going to fill this up with e-liquid. All right, and it's full now. So I'm going to take my top piece right here that includes the mouthpiece. Again, the mouthpiece is changeable. You could use one of the other mouthpieces that come with this kit. And I'm going to screw the top cap on with the mouthpiece. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to screw it onto the battery. Okay, and here's the battery. You might also want to call this the control unit because there is some circuitry in here that's going to keep you safe, that's going to keep the battery from over discharging. And I'm going to screw the tank into the battery or the control unit. Again, this connection right here is known as a 510 connection, one of the most standard connections in the electronic cigarette industry. So I'm going to go ahead and screw this on. Now you'll notice here when I push the button, oh my God, nothing is happening. Why is nothing happening? That's because a lot of these devices are going to come to you off. They're turned off. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's not broken. Panic. Don't panic. But some have a 5-click to turn them on and off. Some have a 3-click to turn them on and off. Innokin is known for a 3-click. So I'm going to go ahead and click the fire button 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. We see some flashing start to happen there. And now the device activates, okay? And on this particular device, there's a little swing away door here at the bottom. And that is the micro USB charge port. That is where we are going to charge the device. So at this point, the tank is full, the tank is primed, the device is on, and we are ready to vape.
Speaking of vape, let me switch to your main camera. Let's see you vape.
You want to see me vape? I've been vaping the whole show.
Oh, I want you to vape now on the T18. By the way, you did that very, very nice. That was very,
did I do
very
that
good?
good?
Yeah, you'd think like you were like a professional reviewer or something.
Like I've reviewed something.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that you could do in addition to priming or waiting the 5 minutes, you can take unpowered puffs, okay? So I'm not going to push the fire button, but instead I'm just going to do this, okay? Watch. Okay, so that's an unpowered puff. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing on it, but I'm not pushing the button. I'm not actually firing it. And the act of doing that will also pull e-liquid into the coil a little bit faster for you, okay, in case you don't want to wait. But now I'll go ahead and vape it.
Vape it.
Hopefully I've primed it correctly and everything's going to work here. And there you go.
You know, I truly believe that for somebody that's starting off inexpensive, Innokin T18 with some 12 or 18 milligram nicotine liquid, depending on how heavy of a smoker is, with a flavor that they're going to like. Please go out and try a flavor that you're going to find that you're going to like. You're going to have your best chance of successfully switching to this product. It's simple, easy, satisfying, good draw, not expensive, and it works. And I think that's what it's all about. It works.
You know, it does work. And, you know, I forgot like how good this device is until I vaped it again just now. This device hits really, really hard. It's extremely satisfying. It's a very, very warm vape. I'm getting a nice solid throat hit. It's an outstanding product. You know, there's a lot of new stuff that's coming out.
Yeah,
hopefully we'll see, you know, hopefully we'll see a new T18 from them.
Yeah.
But it is really a good product, and it's very close to a cigarette.
Phil, people say, oh, Innokin's your sponsor and you're doing this, and that's why you're playing the T18. And no, this is not the case. We would say that with any good product that is out there, but the T18 truly is a good starter kit for smokers. Right. It really, really is. And it has nothing to do with the sponsorship.
You know, we could say the same thing about the Joytech Ego AIO,
Absolutely.
but Joytech is a sponsor as well.
Right.
So let's talk about something different. Let's talk about an Aspire Breeze 2.
Right.
Okay. You know, here they don't sponsor us, right? But here's another really good, a little bit more challenging to work with. Maybe not so easy to fill because you have a little port, a little plug. But again, another really good vape here. Yeah. We are in a situation right now, I believe, that if a smoker can't find a product that works for them, they're just not ready to quit.
Absolutely.
Right? They just don't want to quit.
Right. They're using the bad stories that we said earlier as an excuse not to quit as well too. The Breeze 2, yes, it is a very good product. It's a little bit more challenging to do the whole coil process, and for somebody that's not fidgety, it's not something that I recommend. For a 60-year-old, that's been smoking for 40 years, maybe a T18 is a better option. For a 25-year-old that's a little bit more gadgety, that's been smoking for 7 or 8 years, maybe the Breeze 2 is a better choice. It's all about having those choices, though, that makes vaping fantastic, right? And that's what it's all about.
But I mean, what I like that what they did here, like even the mouthpiece. When I reviewed this product, I noticed that the mouthpiece is the same exact diameter of a cigarette, right? So it's trying to give you a more comfortable feel. The draw is closer to a cigarette. The temperature is closer to a cigarette. So, I mean, it's one of the reasons why I still recommend this product.
And there's nothing wrong with recommending something that's going to help actually people quit smoking. I truly, truly believe that. And, there's a lot of vape shops that still carry this product, even if it is, 3 years on the market now. But a lot of people have a lot of success with converting smokers on it. And that's what it's all about.
Yep.
Once they convert, we can move them on to bigger and better things if that's something that they do want. All right. So now we've got the T18 set up, but we do have to talk about flavors. And I bring this up because there's a big push out in California to ban flavors. There's a bill in New York that passed through the Senate today. It's actually going to, I think it's a codes committee now. But again, I don't know why it's going to the codes committee. But there's a big push to push these flavors. And of course, the reason that they're using is that, kids are being enticed and lured to it and all that, which, it's a whole topic for a different show. But what we're going to talk about is how important flavors are for adults. And I do want to bring up a study. This is a study that was done back in 2014 by Dr. Farsalinos. And this slide here will show you at initiation what a smoker desires, right? And you're going to see here the top selling flavor for initiation use is tobacco flavors. I've got it a little highlighted there because this might be a little bit hard to read. This is actually a survey of 16,000 vapers that was done worldwide. And again, keep in mind, this is in 2014. But you're going to see some current data as well, too. And, of course, we're waiting on the new flavor study. And I think it's going to be pretty much similar to this one. But 69% at initiation chose a tobacco flavor.
Sure.
Mint and menthol, 24%. Sweet, 29%. And then the rest of the flavors, of course, in a smaller percentage. Now, look at the same slide. This is 10 months later, right? 10 months later, same group, 16,000 people. And look at this slide. Tobacco now has dropped down to 43%, but look what's up. 61% sweet, 69% fruits, okay? This is at 10 months in of somebody switching to a vapor product. Of course, these are dedicated vapers, full-time vapers that have taken the study based on the information that they provided. So again, what you're going to see is that flavors are extremely, extremely important for somebody to not only switch to vaping, but to stay off cigarettes, right? This is an adult thing. This has nothing to do with kids. And I know you're a smoker. You're going to say, well, I don't want to vape cotton candy. I don't want to vape grandma's lemon pie. I don't want to vape Symmetry, which is delicious, by the way. But they are something that these flavors are something that you're going to discover as an ex-smoker that you actually really, really need, Phil.
Yeah. And I think, I fall into that chart. I fall exactly into that chart because when I started vaping, all the things that you just said, right? I don't want to vape fruits or back then it was smoking for me, right? I don't want to smoke fruits or smoke bakery flavors. Just give me something that tastes just like my Marlboro Light. That's all I care about, right? Yeah. That is what I want. And I think that's probably the mentality of a lot of people when they're making that transition. They don't care about flavors, right? But I think the variety of flavors that we have out there are going to keep you engaged, right? Eventually, you are going to find maybe you continue to enjoy tobacco vapes,
and there's
right?
people that do it, yeah.
And I think that's fine. Hey, as long as you're not smoking, terrific, right? But once you try flavors, it might open up a whole new world for you. And it might keep you engaged and keep you vaping. That's why choice and variety is so important to this industry.
Correct.
It's choice and variety, not only in the choices of the products, in the choices of the e-liquids and the variety of the flavors that we have, but also in the different choices and varieties we have how we vape. Mouth to lung, direct lung, restricted direct lung. It's all of those things combined that have made this industry so successful and have given people all of the choices to become successful vapers and move away from cigarettes.
Absolutely. And I think that if I bring up this updated chart, this is just some fresh data that came in from global data. there's a lot of dual users out there. And not surprising, if you look at the top chart is dual users. You're going to see that the number one flavor is, of course, tobacco, because most of these dual users do use a pre-filled cartomizer or cartridge or a pod system. So they smoke and they vape at the same time. So obviously the taste buds, when you continue to smoke, have not changed at all. And it's something that's not being talked a lot about, is that when you continue to smoke, your taste buds don't come alive. Your taste buds come alive when you actually stop smoking and you switch to vaping. That's when, after 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to start tasting things better and better and better. And that's why people move on to flavored product. But if you're a dual user, it does make sense, as this chart over here states, that you are going to be using mostly tobacco flavors. However, look at the bottom chart, and this is the exclusive users on the bottom. Taste is the primary motivation. Taste is the primary motivation. And the overwhelming users, this is full-time vapers, is fruit and sweet. Right? And you can see it in the percentages: 70% fruit and sweet on the liquids, 28% on the tobacco. If you look up top, you're going to see we have 66% tobacco, 57% menthol, and 47% sweet as far as the charts are concerned. This is real world data, guys. This is not something that I'm making up. It's something that I want you guys to understand, and I want you as a smoker to understand. Don't be intimidated by flavors. Don't hear, lemon cookie, and you're like, oh, well, I don't want to smoke lemon cookie. Because after you quit for a couple of weeks, you're going to find out that lemon cookie is delicious. And it's an enjoyable way of you getting your nicotine. And also, it's going to be vital for you to be able to continue to enjoy vaping.
Absolutely. Variety is the spice of life.
Yep. Let me see if I have any questions in the chat. Nope. A little menthol is very useful. A little menthol, it is summertime. I'm a menthol. I'm a heavy menthol vapor.
Very heavy.
Through the entire year, which is really, really funny, because I was never a menthol smoker. I actually did not like menthol cigarettes feel. So I find it really, really funny that now I'm menthol. But I do like that throat hit that the menthol gives me with lower nicotine.
And menthol will do that for you. It'll give you a throat hit. It'll give you a different kind of throat hit than the kind of throat hit that I like, right? But it's definitely something that you will get from a menthol e-liquid.
Yeah, and during the summertime, if you want to add a little bit of menthol to your liquid, you can. You'll add a little 𝗚𝗡𝗏 to it, give you a little bit more refreshing, especially with fruits. And there's nothing wrong with that as well, too. But I do find myself, I like, for example, Symmetry, right, from 5 Pounds. I like that in the morning, right? Or I like it late at night if I'm having a scotch. Like when I play poker on Monday nights, I really, really enjoy vaping it then, because I drink scotch when I play poker. But through the day, I like something a little bit more refreshing. I like, a little heavier menthol. So I do like that, having that choice of variety. But I don't like tobacco flavors. In fact, at this point in my vaping journey, they don't do anything for me. But what I've discovered, especially reviewing the mini one from 𝗝𝗡𝗏 from Italy, which you can go ahead and just take credit. It's the first Italian product that I've tried, and it's very, very enjoyable. But what I found is that they have a really, really good selection of tobaccos. Have a variety, a very intense, so they call it blackjack, and then they have a smoother and then a sweeter and stuff like that, which is really, really good. The more I hate a tobacco flavor, the more a smoker is going to like it. So if it's really, really bad for me as a vapor, the smoker, I think, is going to really, really like it. So keep that in mind again if you're a vapor, right? Just because you like sweeter stuff now does not necessarily mean that a smoker is going to like that. So be very, very careful in the suggestions that you make to smokers when we're trying to convert them.
It's really interesting that you say that, right? Because this is back a while ago, but when I was working on the B line and the tobacco flavor for the B line, I had a lot of people saying, well, you need to add nuts, and you need to add vanilla, and you need to add caramel notes, and this, that, and the other thing. And I said, no, that's not what I'm going for with this flavor. And eventually I tried the flavor, and I'm like, this is horrible. It's ready. Right. And you're right. We got to think about, we always have to think about the smoker. But, like you were talking about with flavors, a lot of people will even change their flavors up, like you said, during the course of the day. Maybe they want a coffee vape at the beginning of the day. Maybe they want something lighter and sweeter in the middle of the day. Maybe they want something a little bit heavier and a bakery or a dessert flavor at the end of the day. Some people even change up their vapes by season, right? Maybe lemonades and like more refreshing fruits in the summertime, or bakeries in the wintertime. So, I mean, just having this variety just keeps you engaged and keeps you not smoking.
Yeah. I did see a question about menthol and glass tanks. No, it will not crack it. Menthol will not crack glass tanks. By the way, this is blackjack here on this one. I'm going to tell you what. It is horrible to me. Horrible. But I am so open-minded, Phil, that I know if I give this to any smoker to try, they're going to be completely satisfied with it. Throat hit, nicotine delivery, non-salt, and the flavor, it is spot on disgusting cigarette. And I mean, I'm vaping it, and the reason why I'm vaping is because I do want to accurately describe these products and be able to recommend them. I'm telling you, this blackjack flavor in this pod is something that a smoker is going to love.
Right. And that, again, that's one of the purposes of this show is to remember the smokers and not forget about the smokers, not forget about where we were when we started vaping, not forget about the things that we wanted when we started vaping, the experience that maybe the smokers are wanting, because, everybody feels like, my way is the best way, and I'm going to give my way to a smoker, and your way may not be the best. My way may not be the best way for a smoker. So we try to keep an open mind, and we try to answer, everybody's questions and guide them to the best of our abilities.
Yeah.
But sub-ohming may not be really good for a smoker to begin with, right? Direct lung may not be very good for a smoker to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what they decide they need, okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
But, our challenge is to let's reach the smoker first. Okay. Let's talk to the smoker directly. Let's get away from all of the BS and the noise and the bad propaganda that we're getting in mainstream media. Let's give the smoker some good information, some valuable information, some not fear-mongering information. Let's get them away from smoking. Let's get them to be vapors. And then once we've made a successful transition, sky's the limit. They can go anywhere they want. But that's the purpose of this show.
I do want to bring up a question from the chat that's relevant right now.
Sure.
And the question is from Alex. Do you think if there were only tobacco flavors that the e-cig products would be so widespread, or is there a fault in the liquid companies to produce more attractive flavors?
I don't know. I personally think that the flavors and the variety of flavors are one of the causes of the success of vaping.
I think it's the major cause, honestly. I think it's the number one reason why vaping is successful is flavors.
Yeah. The other interesting thing that's going to happen is, okay, so once, let's say these flavor bans stick, okay, and nothing but tobaccos are allowed. Okay, well, does cherry tobacco fall into that? Does vanilla tobacco fall into that? What's the ratio between cherry and tobacco can you have before it falls into cherry and not a tobacco? So, yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that we got to think about. But I think flavors are so important. I know they keep me vaping, right? If I had to go back to tobaccos, I don't think I would ever be a smoker again. I certainly wouldn't be as happy a vapor as I am right now.
Absolutely. I will. I don't know if I should. I'll do it some other time. But I do want to show you at some point, remind me, Phil, the presentation that I did in 2014 in China at the SESMO. I don't know if you remember it, but we talked about back then in 2014 how important liquid is with Chinese hardware. Do you remember that? Where I put the Chinese hardware on the presentation, then I put the liquid on the slide as well too. Those two, they need each other. You can't have a great device without the variety of flavors, and you can't enjoy the variety of flavors without the variety of hardware, right? So those are the two components that come together. So yes, these are the two most important aspects. You need to have a delivery device. That's where the hardware comes in. China provides us, thankfully, inexpensive now variety of hardware. But the more liquids that we have now, at some point, if you have 700 strawberry cheesecakes, it gets a little bit over. But the more variety you have, because everybody's palate is so different, the more choices you're going to have for a smoker to find something that they're going to enjoy using to stay off cigarettes. So it's very, very important. Even from back there in 2014, we kept saying we need to do more studies on this, do more studies, more surveys. just beating on a dead horse there. And I can't wait to see the recent survey that we did to see the data. Although I'm pretty sure it's going to be probably the same. Probably about 70% tobacco when they started, and probably about 70% on full-time use now with flavored products. Sure. I think it's gonna. I don't think that changes. The types of liquid change. The flavor of the week changes. We have donuts one week, custards the other week, whatever is the hottest and the hypest or whatever that's out there. But the overall percentage of flavored versus tobacco, I think, is going to remain the same. So I think it's very, very important. All right, let me pick up a couple of random questions here. Okay. Audio is good. That's good.
And remember, guys, the phone lines are open. So
yes,
if you guys have any questions, please call in.
Now is the time for you to call in if you want to talk to us. We'd be more than happy to talk to you. David Amonet, Salt Nick question. I bought some 50 and 30 milligram Salt Nick juice, and they both are making me cough. Does it take some time to acclimate to salt nicotine? That's an interesting question because usually we hear the opposite, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But maybe it is a little bit too strong for you, David. That might be a possibility, depending on how heavy of a smoker you are. Go ahead, Phil.
It could be. First of all, I don't like salt nicks because, and I've said this before, like with the salt, I like the harshness of a vape.
Yeah.
I like the thumpy throat hit that I get with my 12 milligram. Now, with a stronger salt nick, and I think salt nicks are all different because I've had different experiences with different salt nicks. It seems to be more of like a chest throat hit, chest hit. You want to call it that? It seems to lower the irritation down a little bit, and maybe that's what's causing you to cough. It's really interesting because, like Dimitris said, most of the times what we hear is when I first start vaping, like a 12 or an 18 free-base nicotine, I cough, I cough, and I cough, and I cough. Now, I'll go ahead and I'll do this again, right? Because I like to do this. Let's not forget, all right? Let's not forget the very first drag we took of a cigarette. And you take that first inhale. Chances are, on your very first hit of a cigarette, you didn't go, oh my God, that's smooth and wonderful and delicious. No, you probably coughed your lungs out, right? But then you took the second hit and you took the third hit and you had your second cigarette and you had your third cigarette and you became a smoker. You worked through the cough, right? What I'm saying is give e-cigs, give either Salt Nick or give Freebase Nick the same chance that you gave your cigarette, because eventually you're going to stop coughing. A lot of my friends coughed when they first started using electronic cigarettes. They don't cough anymore, and they also don't smoke anymore, right? So please give electronic cigarettes the safer alternative, the better way to get your nicotine, the same chance that you gave your original cigarette. Okay,
that's a very good way of putting it.
You'll get, trust me, you'll get through it. Okay.
I do want to tell David as well too. Try different nicotines as well too. I mean, salt nicotines do use benzoic acid, right? I don't think that's the issue, but there might be something in there that's bothering you as well too. So try various nicotines, and also there's different types of salt nicotine. Everybody has their own kind of little formula as well too. So maybe one particular brand was, you weren't happy with it. Try other brands that are out there as well too. That's the advice that I can give you. But generally, the coughing is just something that happens. It does happen. All right, just work through it, as Phil says, and give electronic cigarettes a chance. All right, here's another question. Reviewers, this is from Maccabi B. Okay. Reviewers, by the way, if you don't want to call in, if you're shy, I mean, really, we'd be happy to talk to you. It's really not a problem.
I'm very shy too.
But if you're shy, you can just drop your question in the chat, and I'll have Bill pick them up and make sure that I see it. Question, by the way, thanks to Bill. He's done such a great job.
Yeah, we appreciate your time, Bill.
We really do. Reviewers used to say top airflow didn't produce good flavor, but bottom airflow leaks more. Do you still have the same opinion?
I think because of the design, I think bottom airflow does have more potential to leak. It's just the simple way that the air works its way through a tank. So I think top airflow tends to be a little bit more leak resistant than bottom airflow. As far as flavor, so let's think about that, right? Why would flavor be affected by top airflow versus bottom airflow? Because if you think about it, the position of the coil for the most part is the same. So the travel from the coil to your mouth is the same. So what could be happening is the distance that the air has to travel from the air intake to the coil is longer inside the tank, right? So if there's anything inside that tank, if the tank wasn't cleaned properly, if the tank didn't come from the factory perfectly cleaned, maybe you something else happened with the tank, that could certainly change the flavor, because the air has more travel through the tank before it gets to the coil and vaporizes the e-liquid and you get the vapor. But outside of that, I really can't think of like why one flavor would be worse than the other. I think if it's done right, I think if it's done correctly, they should have very, very similar flavors. The only thing that I could think of that would be causing that is, like I said, the air travel, the air path through the tank with a top airflow is somehow coloring that air before it gets to the coil, if that makes any sense.
Do you think turbulence has anything to do with it, Phil, as well, too? I mean, how the air comes in as well. I mean, listen, personally, for me, for like a rebuildable atomizer, even with a replaceable coil, I do like the air coming just directly from the bottom and underneath the coil, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah,
me personally, that's for my personal
right.
flavor taste, right? And I vape heavy menthols. I know I get it.
Right.
But based on my resistance and what I like to vape, I prefer that style from a top airflow style for various reasons. But for flavor, for me, I think I do get a little bit of flavor that way. But I noticed, for example, I did a review on the cashew, by the way, this past week.
Bless you.
These nuts. But this right here, right? Really, really nice design, really comfortable, really nice finish. But the airflow on this, it takes air from the bottom and also takes air from the side. And it creates like a very turbulent airflow going to it. And listen how loud this thing is. I can't believe it. Listen how loud it is, Phil. Yeah. That's a pod system. That's really, really loud compared to, here's the drop. I mean, it's a huge difference to me. But I'm
so turned on right now. Gotta do it again.
But the flavor in the cashew is just not there for me. And I think it has to do with that turbulence of air as well, too. So when we're talking about top airflow, like you said, if it's not done right and that air turbulates, right, and it doesn't enter the air channels the way it's supposed to, obviously it's not going to hit the coil as well, too. So that could be something to ponder for you as an engineer.
Yeah, and I know that I've talked to a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me that say reducing turbulence is definitely going to improve your flavor.
Yeah,
I think the big question becomes is it going to improve your flavor where you try one and you say, well, that tastes okay, and then you try another one, you're like, oh my God, right? No, I don't think so. I don't think we're at the oh my God on anything at this point. I mean, we all have similar wires. We have similar wicking material. We have similar liquids, right? So I think there's subtleties in the flavor. There's perceptions of better flavor. I don't think we've had that, oh my God, experience yet. I know I haven't. I haven't. And I would question any reviewer who tries something new using the same wicking material, using the same wire and say, oh my God, this is like amazing flavor. No, I think it's going to be subtle increments. I think there's going to be small differences. I don't think there's going to be anything earth shattering at this point until, somehow we're able to mist e-liquid onto a coil or maybe vaporize e-liquid with a laser or even like ultrasonics, although I tried the ultrasonic and that didn't really work out that well. But using the technology that we have available to us today, I think there's going to be, everybody's chasing the dragon. And I think that's a good thing too, because that keeps people motivated and involved and still not smoking, right?
But most of the times you get disappointed no matter what. I mean, because you always expect it to be like a wow moment. By the way, TB player, he loves his Zenith tanks, been having for a couple months, and they work great on his Cool Fire 18650. Thank you very much, TB. We certainly appreciate it.
Wonderful, TB.
So we got a surprise for you. You see that the Zenith 22mm that's coming out might have a new redesigned Coolfire with it. So we're really, really excited about that. So thank you very much.
We're excited about
but
that.
I've only had 2 wow moments really in my vaping career field, and that was when I went from a cartomizer dripping into an HH357 at the time. People made fun of me all the time because I used to drip in this little atomizer, but that was kind of a wow moment as a flavor factor to me coming from a carto to that. And then when I tried the 𝗘𝗏 for the first time, those are the 2 moments I can think back in my in all these years of vaping that I said, wow, right? Other than that, really, I've never, even after past the 𝗘𝗏, I've matched that vape, maybe slightly a little bit better, slightly a little bit less. But those 2 redefining moments, I think, in my vaping career, I don't know what were yours, but those 2 were really just kind of stand out in my mind.
I would say mine would have to be, the first would be a carto tank, right? Oh my God, I don't have to fill for a day. I don't have to drip into my cartomizer. I don't get like 5 vapes and the carto's dry.
Yeah.
Wow. That was a wow for me. Carto tanks.
Yeah.
I think the 𝗜𝗏𝗘𝗏 or vaping, however you want to call it. I think that was a wow. But my big wow was, and you already touched on it, I'll never forget.
Yeah.
I think it was a vape bash. It was Bruce from Clouds of Vapor. He had a 𝗘𝗏, and he let me try his 𝗘𝗏 for the first time.
Yeah.
And I said, wow.
Yeah.
I said, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those were the wows
props.
for
I know
me.
this is for smokers, and it's not for smokers, but I do want to give props to Dino, because after Dino showed me how to do a microcoil in a 𝗘𝗏, I was a little above wow of building with silica cotton for myself. But anyway,
and it's really interesting like, right. So the first time I built a coil, there was a wow because it was my first coil.
Right.
The first time I built a microcoil, there was a wow.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's kind of easy. And then the first time I moved away from the microcoil and started doing spaced coils, there was another wow. And hold on a second, we have something very important. We have a very important question from Beauty and the Vape. There's your shout out. Okay.
Yes. Christine, shout out to Christine. She does a great job. Go check her out. She posts all these stories of people that are ex-smokers. So if you're a smoker, go watch the stories and see how it's influenced people's lives. Question.
Yes.
This is from your buddy Troy Hall. What's a good tip to use to prevent getting juice in your mouth? That's one of the things that he hated when he tried before to vape.
Oh boy, juice in your mouth. Okay. That's okay. So first of all, juice in your mouth shouldn't happen, period. Okay. Condensation in your mouth may happen, right? If you're getting straight up e-liquid in your mouth, there's probably something wrong with your system. And you have to think about what's wrong with your system. Is it overfilled? Are one of the O-rings bad? Is your coil bad and it's just sucking e-liquid into the coil? Is your e-liquid too thin for the coil that you're using, right? So those are some things to think about. For the most part, though, it's going to be condensation that gets in your mouth. And usually the reason for that is typically, okay, the device itself, the tank that you're using holds on to condensation, okay, and doesn't allow it to come out. Or the vapor path is too tight. And that just recently happened to me on the �𝗓𝗏 MTL-RTA Mini. So the vapor path out of the from the coil to the mouth, everything in that tank was very, very narrow. So what winds up happening is it becomes a bit of a straw, okay? And you wind up getting some condensation in your mouth as you use the device. You have to remember when you stop vaping, there tends to be some vapor left in the chamber, left in the coil, left in something. And that vapor has to go somewhere. Sometimes it will work its way out of the tank, come out the bottom airflow. And then like when you unscrew your tank, you'll find some like liquid underneath, or maybe you'll find some liquid around your tank. One of the things that you can try, okay, is when you're done vaping, continue your draw after you release the button, okay? So what that's going to do is it's going to clear out the vapor and hopefully prevent some of that condensation from happening, okay? So that's certainly something that you could try.
Yes, and I think it's something that again, it's just one of these things that happens with vaping, and you just have to learn exactly how to deal with that. I think it's very, very important.
And another suggestion, okay, and I've seen people do this. Don't vape like this.
Yeah.
That helps too.
That's pretty hot. By the way, Connie's
that?
watching from Greece. My wife is in Greece now, and it's
Really?
4:00 in the morning. So she's definitely jet lagged.
She must really love you.
No, she's definitely jet lagged. But I hope you have a good time in Greece, baby. And I do miss you and the little one and the dog. I miss the dog. I look over here at her little pen, and she's usually sitting at night here in the office with me, looking at me.
Who do you miss more, your wife, your daughter, or the dog?
Just in that order that you put it, like there, my wife and my daughter.
Okay,
But she
good answer.
She sits there in her little thingy, and she looks at me at night, and she's not there, so I do miss her. But anyway, yes. Let me see if I have another question. I'm waiting on Bill. I think he's putting something in there. Yes.
Phone lines are open.
Yeah. But nobody's calling, so everybody's kind of shy, I think, tonight. This is from Back in Black, 1980. Mr. Phil, can you only use Nic Salt entirely on a pod system, or is it okay to use it on K-Fun, Kabuki, Nautilus, and Aries? Yeah, you can use salt nicotine in RTAs, just lower the strength. I think if you get into the 40s and the 50s, using them in RTA probably will deliver way too much nicotine for you to handle. Take shorter puffs, one of the things that we say, of course. But yeah, I use 20 milligram nicotine salt in the Zenith all the time. It's just like a backup, something where I can't vape a lot. I'll do that. I'll put 20 milligram salt in the Zenith and just use that if I don't just take a couple puffs, get nicotine in my body, and I don't have to vape all the time. So yeah, absolutely you can.
Yeah, one of the things that I hope people will avoid, okay, is not using the salt nic to just get a head buzz, right? Because we're hearing that with the younger generation. That's why they're using the Juul, right? It's not about getting a head buzz, right? It should be about moving away from the traditional tobacco cigarettes, the combustible tobacco cigarettes, because keep in mind that head buzz is going to go away and then be replaced with more of a dependency on nicotine, right?
Yeah.
So just when you're thinking about using Nic salts, like if you're happy at a 12 milligram, right? Why would you want to go to a 50 milligram Nic salt in your same device? Right. Now, if you're going to a pod system where it's maybe lower wattage, lower power, and there maybe you need the higher nicotine, but you don't replace, I'm using this at a 12 and I'm really satisfied, and replace, in this, I'm going to put like a 50 milligram salt. I just think it's a really bad idea.
Look, these are my two favorite. I'm going to do a video next week called My Favorite Pod Systems, just to update for now, and then I'm going to do a beginner's guide to pod system. But the Soren Airdrop and the Smoat S8, these are my two favorite pods right now, refillable. Both of these I have to use salt nicotine inside, 20 milligram nicotine salt. So I do use them on a stealth situation when I go out. I have one in my pocket just to use on, when I can't vape. But the truth of the matter is, you can get a smaller device as well too, with 12 milligram nicotine, or Aspire Breeze 2 works great with regular nicotine. You don't have to put salt nicotine in it. There are devices out there with regular nicotine that are smaller. Even now that we're coming out with the 22 Zenith on a smaller device, or even the Chroma with a Zenith is a small device. It's not it's a big of a device that you can't carry it around. There are options out there. Don't necessarily put your mindset small system. Salt nicotine. I think that's a mistake. And I think it's kind of a little bit overblown because salt nicotine is now the hype thing or whatever. Just don't follow the hypes.
I know. By the way, they're very important observation in the chat.
Yes.
Let's see. George, that's got to be a Greek name because it's got like 17.
Michalopoulos. Yes.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah, so George,
Michalopoulos. I'm sorry.
What he does with that on the commercial breaks, he picks his teeth with it like this, right? He does that, and he also picks his nose with it like this.
I do want to show you.
By the way, yes,
I'll bring it up close. Look at that. It's got one there.
Go to his house. I'm going to chop that thing off.
And it's got one on the other side. It's just a pop filter.
I don't care. I don't like it. It bothers me.
Just come over here and trim it for me one day. How about that? Because you're very handy with a trim.
I'm very happy that your background is dark enough so that I don't have to see your sound panels back there.
I got a couple more questions. Let's get through them pretty quick because we're running out of time. This is from Forsaken Companion. If I'm using a small vape pen, K2 right now, he's using the K2, which is a really, really good starter kit, by the way. We really recommend that as well, too. Planning to get the POC X2, which is another Aspire product, would be a Vaporesso Cascade 1 Plus too strong for me. I don't inhale my cigs deeply either. I think that the device, the Vaporesso Cascade 1, the device itself is good. I think the tank does not match your style if you don't direct lung inhale. So I would not suggest that tank for you. The device itself, and this is one of the problems that we run into, some of the ice sticks, some of the new ice sticks that are coming up from Joytech as well too, they put a sub-ohm tank with it. So it comes as a kit. So even though you like the device, the tank might not be. So you got to be very, very careful when you're shopping, especially if you're a smoker or a new vapor. Don't fall into that trap. And it's not really a deliberate trap. It's just that this is the way that they're designing the kit. So even though you hear ice stick kind of reminds me of something that's for a starter, right? Like an ice stick Pico, right? Even the ice stick Pico, some of them come with a sub-ohm tank. So necessarily the device might be good for you, but the tank, that's something that me and Phil are not going to do, by the way. We're not going to do that. I'm just promising you right now, everything that we're going to put out as a device is going to match the tank as well too. But if you like the device, you can pick it up and just use one of your existing tanks or find another tank to match up with the device. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that Dimitri and I are really down on is the term starter kit. Right? Because we see a lot of devices, a lot of kits, a lot of packages out there being called starter kits, not only on the box themselves, but also in sections on, vendors online. They have whole sections of starter kits. But what is a starter kit? Because you have to think, well, so a smoker is interested in vaping. So I'm a smoker. I'm going to be starting vaping. So I need a starter kit. So I'm going to go on this website that I found, and I'm going to go to starter kits, and I'm going to buy this thing, right? And this thing must apply to me because it says starter kits. It's in the starter kit section. But what you wind up getting is maybe a really, really high-powered device and maybe a direct lung sub-ohm tank, and that may not be a starter kit. So like one of the things that we would like to see is you can call it a kit. You can even call it a starter kit.
Yeah.
But let's be a little bit more descriptive as to what kind of a starter kit it is. Is it a mouth to lung starter kit?
Right.
Is it a direct lung starter kit? Is it a restricted direct lung starter kit? This way, so that the consumer knows a little bit more about what they're getting into, especially the consumer who doesn't have the ability to go to a vape shop and actually talk to somebody or experience different ways to vape and using different kinds of equipment and different tanks, right? What is a starter kit? Yeah. So, I mean, that's, that's something that
and sometimes it's flashy as well, too. This is the Espion kit from Joytech. I'm actually sending this to a military guy. So before people start saying, oh, give it away, because I have one that I tested out, and then the second one that they sent me, this guy's down on his luck, and I'm going to send this out. But this is a sub-ohm tank, and some people, we see all these flashy lights on it. It's nice. It's a nice device, very heavy, very grippy, but the tank that comes with it is a sub-ohm tank. So it doesn't say that anywhere on the package, which I wish, and it's something that me and Phil relay back to the Chinese all the time. I wish somewhere on here it will kind of explain that. Maybe have like a little guide down here. Battery, good for this. Tank is good for this. This is the resistance. But unfortunately, they don't do it. So be very, very careful when you're shopping.
Yeah.
All right, I got a few more questions. I got to get through them quick. This is something that you're going to love, and this is something that you can answer very, very easy.
Okay.
Under this is from Jim Barnes. I've been using the Aries tank and have a popping problem where when I take a drag, it pops e-liquid into my mouth. Is it my coal or something else? Well, this is a very, very... this happens a lot, by the way. It's not just you, Jim, right? It happens with a lot of rebuildables as well, too. Go ahead, have at it.
Here's what I would recommend, okay? Cotton more dense in the coil itself. That seems to work for me, okay? So you can still brush your cotton out where it goes down into the wick channels. You can have like less cotton where it goes down to the wick channels in case you're using like a higher VG. But the cotton in the coil itself, make sure it's dense, okay? So not dense to the point where you pull the cotton and it like rips the coil out, but just so that like when you're moving the cotton back and forth, the coil moves a little bit with it. What I've noticed is when I do that kind of a build, that reduces some of the popping, okay? Because I think what some of that popping is space between the cotton and the coil, where there's just e-liquid, and when you apply the heat to the coil, it pops that e-liquid, okay? So that's what I would try. Try a little bit more dense cotton in the coil itself.
Yeah, every time that we're talking about a rebuildable, there's so many factors, right? So it's a balance between the liquid that you use, how much liquid is sitting actually in the coil. So when you hit that button, it just kind of pops sometimes, how it's feeding, how fast it's feeding. There's a lot of variables. So play around with it and find what works for you. As far as the crackling sound, some people like that, some people don't like it. For me, it kind of reminds me of that crackling sound that a cigarette made. but that's nothing to be alarmed either. All right.
The crackling is normal. That's just e-liquid boiling. That's all it is.
Yes. Did you ever try this?
Yeah. The build that I have in here, this pops almost every time I push the button. Let's see if it'll do it right now because I haven't pushed the button. Let's see. You ready?
I'm ready. Yeah. Oh, look at that.
You hear that? Right?
Yeah. That was a loud
So I have
pop.
to adjust my build.
Let me pull up a couple more questions. We're running out of time. Did you try the sausages that we got in Germany?
That's a really good question. I saw that question in there. I have not tried. Do you still have your sausages?
I still have my sausages, but I still have not tried them.
Okay, we're going to do a cooking show. We're going to do
the
a
next
cooking show
we'll
eventually.
let you know.
Promise. We're going to taste the sausages.
Yes. I know things are subjective, but overall pick for converting a smoker: T18, tobacco flavor, nic level. I can't not go against that. I think Innokin T18 between 12 and 18 milligrams of nicotine, depending on how heavy of a smoker is. Obviously, a tobacco or a menthol, depending on what kind of smoker they are as well too. You can't go wrong. I think that's a very, very good start, an inexpensive solution to start. Yes, absolutely. Right? You agree, Phil?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, again, like I said before earlier in the broadcast, I mean, I'm using this and I'm just remembering again, like how good this is and like why this device is still like the number one choice for my wife. Why does she still use it?
Yeah.
Right. Why does she still? Because it's easy to fill. There's no adjustments on it. There's no confusion. There's no complications here. Relatively easy to change the coil. And it just works because there are those people out there, they don't care about features and functions and screens, and they don't care about any of that stuff. All they want to do is not smoke anymore, and they want a similar experience, right?
Yeah.
This kind of does it.
Yeah, and this is going to be the last one. The guidelines should be the resistance. Everything below 0.5 means direct lung, and otherwise
I disagree with that.
That's not true. It really isn't. The new Plexus coil that we have coming out is 0.5 as well too, and it's definitely a mouth-to-lung draw, and it works between 14 and 19 watts at 0.5. It's really, the resistance is sometimes misleading. We have stainless steel coils out there that are 0.5, but they work mouth-to-lung in temperature control. So I don't think the resistance has a lot to do with it. That's why I think that the manufacturers need to do a better job of addressing that on the package itself, and of course in the marketing that they put out there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You know, I've talked about that before. I've talked about that in my videos. There's a misconception out there that sub-ohming automatically equals direct to lung. Okay, and that's not the case, right? I don't agree with that. I think you can definitely be 0.4, 0.5, 0.4, and still get a very good mouth to lung. It depends a lot more on the air path and how the air hits the coil and how the vapor goes from the coil into your mouth, the path that it takes, the chamber size, the condension ratio from, how it goes into a bell and works its way up into your mouthpiece. So, I mean, like a really good example is, and I always use this as an example, is the original Joytech Ego AIO. An outstanding mouth-to-lung vape, and I think those coils were what, 0.6 ohms, the original ones,
0.6, yes.
right? So I think it's less to do with resistance and more to do with proper airflow for mouth-to-lung, and then for direct lung, just a lot more air, right?
We got a telephone call. See if we can bring it in.
Yay!
Hey, 937, can you hear us? Hello, 937.
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, what's going on? What's your name?
Hey, my name's Greg.
All right, Greg, what is your question or comment?
I just wanted to call in and say thank you for all that y'all do. I am about 2 weeks off of cigarettes now. Actually quit for the second time. I was off of cigarettes on vaping for about 6 months a few years ago, and came back to it and had no idea what anything was anymore because of how fast the industry moved.
Yeah.
So thanks to Phil's reviews and this show, I've been able to get back off cigarettes and trying to get my wife off of it now.
Hey, Greg, what are you using? What are you using?
I'm actually using an Inspire Breeze right now on 25 milligrams salt nic.
Fantastic. Listen, I want to do you just something cool because you called in and you finally quit smoking. I want to send you a kit. We'll send you an Innokin Chroma with a Zenith kit, and we want to send your wife
90 seconds.
Ignore the lady talking. We also want to send you a kit to get your wife to start vaping as well too. Is that cool? Can we do that?
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
And then when you get him in, maybe you can call us back in a couple weeks and see how your wife has gone along with it, and tell us what your impressions of it as well is. I think that's really fantastic that you're back on vaping.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, Greg, do me a favor. Message me here on Facebook.
60 seconds.
Ignore the British lady. Message me on Facebook. It's facebook.com Vaping Greek. And give me your name, your address, and I'll get you a little care package and sent out to you. And congratulations once again on quitting smoking. That's really,
Excellent.
really amazing.
Very good. We're proud of you. Keep it up.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Greg. Have a good one. There he goes, everybody. Greg. And the phone lines work. You didn't say anything about that. Whoa, yeah, but when the echo comes on, you got to get all that.
Wait a second. Did you give me a chance to comment on the phone lines?
No, you didn't. Listen. Don't make me come down.
By the way,
don't make me come down to the retirement community that you live in and kick your butt.
That may have been the smoothest phone call we've ever taken.
Yes, you're right.
It was.
You're right.
My compliments to you and your phone lines. Now, can we work on the damn echo?
Yes. Yes. There's just a lot of variables in the echo, but I think I've got it figured out now. Again, I keep saying that at every episode.
You haven't figured out until
but it's been working fine now. So I don't know. But we appreciate Greg calling in, and congratulations. And it's very humbling when somebody calls and says, "Hey, Phil, your videos help me," and I feel the same way as well too. It's just it's very touching.
Again, that's still what means the most to me, in this industry, in this thing that I do. And I think that's terrific. And I would love, that it would make me feel so good. And I'm sure it would make you feel so good if we can get his wife to convert too.
That'd be great.
Right?
That'd be fantastic. The couple that vapes together
stays together. That's why we stay together for so long.
Absolutely.
We're the couple that vapes together.
Absolutely. Well, I was talking about me and my wife, but yeah, okay. Me and you too as well too. All right. I think we covered everything that we had on the show today. We talked about vape maintenance today. We're going to do a little recap. We talked about alternative methods, something that's very dear to your heart. We showed you the T18, which we highly recommend if you have a smoker in your life. Grab a T18, grab some 12 milligram liquid, and give it to them and try to, change their life. We talked about the flavor factor, right? How important flavors are for adults. If you're in a township or in a city that they're trying to ban flavors, stand up and talk about it because it's very, very important for adults to stay off cigarettes using flavors. And of course,
it is important. It's also important to remember, okay, that a lot of the people who watch the show, we're all vapers, right? So if there are flavor bans, okay, we're going to survive. We're going to know somebody. We're going to get our e-liquids. We're going to get our flavors. Maybe we're going to DIY. Who knows? But it is so important to fight these bans for the millions of smokers that we haven't reached yet. Those millions of smokers who the only way they have to get their e-liquid is to go into a shop and buy some, or to go online and to buy some. They have no interest in DIYing. They don't know anybody. They're not going to be able to get their flavors underground, right? So let's not be selfish and only think about us. Let's be generous, right? And think about all of those smokers that are out there and understand why it is so important to continue to fight for not only flavors, but for all of vaping. Very, very important.
Yeah, very well said. I don't think I can top that. The only thing I can do is remind you next Tuesday night, Smoke Free Radio, right here on smokefreeradio.com and, of course, on youtube.com/vaping.
And what will your topics be on the next Smokers?
I'm not sure yet. It depends on if things change so fast. They really do. Things change so fast. I'm sure I'm going to be talking about what happens with a vote in California today. They're voting on this flavor ban in various cities. And also there's a big committee up in New York that's talking about flavors. I'm sure that's going to be part of the topic. I'm also going to have I'm trying to get Graves, I think is his name, up in New York that's running for governor. What's his name? God, I forgot his name. That's so embarrassing. I'm going to find it right now. But anyway, there's a libertarian running up in New York for governor that's very, very pro-vaping. And we want to have him here on Smoke Free Radio, so maybe you can come and join us as well, too. I'd like for you to be there. Larry Sharp. Running for governor in New York, and we, the vapers and the vaping community and the vape shops in New York, should give him support. So I might have, if he's available, Larry Sharp come on the program as well, too, because I do want to talk about the midterm elections. It's very, very important for us to reach out to our politicians, see what they feel about vaping, and the candidates as well, too. That way we can make our determination on what to vape. So, yeah, that's probably going to be covering up probably a lot of the episode next Tuesday night. All the slides, everything for the Smoker Show, tasteyourjuice.com. Everything is up there. All the replays are posted on youtube.com/Busardo. And of course, Taste Your Juice and on Smoke Free Radio, we'll put the replays as well too. So look at some of the past episodes, send them to smokers. Very, very important for them to stay off cigarettes. And we're trying to help people quit smoking. That's our goal for 2018, right?
Absolutely. And 2019.
Once again, Joytech, Innokin, and 5 Ponds, thank you so much for your sponsorship. And of course, the Vaping Advocate. We got one phone call today, and that was enough. It was a really, really great phone call. So
and it was a very well done phone call.
Very well done. Anything else that you want to add, Phil?
I think that's it, my friend.
Right.
I think that's it.
Let me play it off. Thanks again, once again, to Bill Tarling for moderating the chat. Thanks to all the vapors that are in the chat actually helping. I know sometimes we're vapors and we get passionate. You want to talk about your low builds and your triple fused Claptons, but this is not what it's about, right? So try to keep it on topic and try to help the smokers that are actually watching, or some of the new vapors that are watching. Might be intimidated as well too. Always be a little bit humble and always keep things in perspective. They're very, very important. And for the Smoker Show, we'll show you. Say
schnitzel.
Schnitzel. We're gonna schnitzel you in 2 weeks.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you. Good night.
By the way, I'm not concerned at all about vaping because look at that. Phil Busardo and Scott Gottlieb right here hanging out. Pretty cool. Isn't that awesome?
Where'd you find that one? God, I look terrible in that picture.
But you got Scott. Look at that. Scott is standing up straight and he looks like he's scared of you.
Yeah, well, I would be.